Welcome to another episode of Listen to Us Rant About Movies. I'm Wes Ford.
And I'm Zach Harris.
Guest Bojo.
Bojo, he's back. He joined us on our Warcraft review, and he's back here to talk some Star Wars with us. Welcome to the show. If you like what you hear, you can find all of our episodes on iTunes, Google Play, and YouTube. And what we like to do is we rant about movies and we drink while we do it. And the beer we've chosen today, Bojo and I have chosen Brooklyn Brewery's Local One. It's a, actually not sure what kind of beer it is.
I think it's kind of like a Belgian beer for me.
It's an
Nice,
ale.
nice.
It's a re-fermented ale.
Re-fermented.
Yeah, so this is the Rogue One half of the title. What'd you pick, Zach?
I got Rogue Hazelnut Brown Nectar.
Nice.
It's pretty good.
Cool. Well, let's just do our ritual sip here and
Yeah.
give a little taste test.
How's the Local One?
It's good.
It is
I
really
like
good.
it.
It's got a nice golden color, and yeah, it does have a style of Belgian flair on the back.
Oh, yeah,
Nice.
Belgian
So-
style.
It's got a nice like Belgian re-fermented ale for all of the extra words you don't need, but
yeah.
delicious.
Bojo and I just watched a video about basically how to talk like you know what you're talking about with beers. And
Oh,
so
yeah.
now we're feeling a little more expertise.
Yeah.
To,
Got the right vocabulary going.
Yeah, golden color, nice head to it. And it's strong. It is good, though.
Yeah, it's like 9%.
Nice.
Delicious.
Ooh, nice.
What about you?
It's good. It's a brown ale. I'm a big fan of the brown. I like me some hazelnut. So it's a nice blend. It's nice and dark.
Yeah.
Not too dark, but
Very nice, very
It's good.
nice.
I'm
Cool.
a fan.
So on this episode, we're going to talk very briefly about what we've been watching since our last episode. This is a pretty close follow-up to our last episode because we had to squeeze this one in,
Had to get it in.
Had to get it in. And then we're going to dive into our review of Rogue One, A Star Wars Story, and we'll have a separate spoiler segment after initial thoughts. So let's get right into it. Let's talk about what we've been watching. Zach, you want to kick her off?
Yeah, I watched Black Christmas, the original. Have you guys seen that?
No.
It's good. It's a slasher movie directed by Bob Clark.
Huh.
Who did, like Christmas Story and Porky's and stuff.
Nice.
But yeah, it's real good. Super creepy. Like very, very effective, and very rarely do I get like freaked out by stuff.
Yeah.
But I watched it with my girlfriend and it ended, and then like we heard a noise like come from the back door, and it was, both of us were like, like it definitely got me a little bit. It's good. It's mainly just like very effective and very creepy.
I was curious if by Black Christmas it was going to be like a black comedy, like with black actors type of thing, like Black Knight, with Martin
No,
Lawrence.
not that.
That'd be hilarious. Nice. That sounds awesome.
It's real good. Scream Factory just put it out.
Love that Scream
Nice
Factory.
new transfer. It's good.
Nice. Cool stuff. What
What
about
about
you?
y'all?
We're going with movies or shows or both.
Whichever.
Yeah, either or.
I watched the first episode of the 3% on Netflix, which
Oh,
was
yeah?
I was curious because it was a Portuguese show. It's because like what's coming out of Portugal, but
Yeah.
it had a cool premise. Like I only watched the first one, but like from the area, it seems like most of the world lives in like a slum. Like it's just terrible. I don't know if the most of the world is like the entire world anymore. It seems like it's kind of like a gigantic country, and most of them live in just like squalor, and it's awful. They don't have enough resources. But then there's like offshore or something like that, or inshore. I don't know. There was like another area where like every year when people turn 20, they get tested, and the top 3% get to go to like this like utopian land. And so it's kind of like, I don't know, to me it seems like a weird like the Hunger Games like training process, except for like their goal is they want to be tributes to get into District 1 and 2.
Okay, fair enough.
Interesting.
But then there was like they threw in like a spoiler being like, or not spoiler, but like a tidbit being like, oh no, but there was like the first murder ever over in this new area, and so I assume in a couple episodes you get to see it. But it had like a cool premise. I want to watch more of it. I just haven't had the time lately, but it seems like it has some potential, and I'm curious where it's gonna go. Just because I haven't seen too many shows like that.
I've heard some good things about it. Yeah, I've heard some interesting things, so I might have to check it out.
Definitely worth a check out.
Cool.
Nice.
I checked out a movie last Friday called Manchester by the Sea.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah, and it's real good. It's been getting a lot of buzz about the Oscars and Golden Globes. It's already been nominated for some Golden Globes, and I mean it just got the checklist. You know, it's got reviving a guy's career. You know, it's got a sad story, drama, small town characters, and everything. But it is actually good and actually surprisingly very funny.
Yeah, that's what I heard. That it's really funny.
It's very funny,
which is interesting. Which
you need because it's also very depressing too. It's a very sad movie.
It's an odd combo.
Yes, but basically it stars Casey Affleck and Michelle Williams, and Kyle Chandler's in it as well. And it's about this guy who is basically forced to confront some terrible things that have happened in his past. A big event happens to him, and the whole time it's like him coping with his past and trying to overcome that. And he's just kind of a big, sad mess, trying to live out his life.
Does he become the kid's guardian?
He does become the kid's guardian. He does. There's a lot.
I remember seeing the trailer that was just like, "You want to be my guardian?" Yeah. Just everyone saying guardian so many times.
There's very thick Boston accents throughout. But yeah, totally worth a watch.
Yeah, I want to check it out.
It's pretty good. I liked it a lot. I'm not sure it's a movie that even how good it is. I don't know if I'd buy it like on Blu-ray just because I don't know if I'd ever want to watch it again. It's because it's kind of like it's not one you kind of want to revisit, but that's not a bad thing. It's just like it's a movie you go, you experience it, you're done with it, you know.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Seriously, it's worth all the press that it's been getting, and it's up there for me this year. So
nice.
We're checking out.
Top 10 contender.
A contender, possibly yes.
A contender.
I feel like it's a weird flaw in media. I guess is like I feel like they're really good like deep stories. They're like I only want to watch ones because like they're I guess like too many emotions you have to like go through to deal with.
It's an emotional ride. Yeah,
but then stuff
totally.
like I don't know, some just shoot 'em up movie. You're just like, I can watch it all day long. And it's like,
oh yeah,
it's frustrating because it's like, who really wins though? Because one movie is being enjoyed way much more. The other movie is just clearly a better quality, but it's too sad.
It's about finding that balance.
Yeah,
that's what makes like a favorite movie. You know, it's one you can rewatch, but also has some real feelings into it. You know.
Yeah, got some clout.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's that. What about you, Zach? What's your next one?
I finally checked out. I've been wanting to see it forever. The Congress, the Ari Folman movie from like 3 years ago.
Haven't heard of it.
The guy who did Waltz with Bashir, which I was a huge fan of when that came out.
Huge.
A huge fan. But yeah, it's a very strange concept. Robin Wright is in it, and she plays herself.
Interesting.
And she gets hired by this like movie studio to be scanned, and they would own, or she like signs a contract with the movie studio basically for her like likeness.
Mm-hmm.
So they scan her body and her emotions, so they can make any movie they want with her, and she never has to work again. You know. So this might be relevant later in this podcast.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's really interesting, and basically, it's like some live action stuff, and then it jumps time, and it becomes animated, and the animation is just like out of control good. The ending wasn't incredible, but I think the rest of the movie makes up for that a lot. And
Okay.
really interesting watch. It's very, very interesting and really engrossing. Like, I started it, just like casually tossed it on, and immediately was like sucked in. It was really good.
That's the best.
Yeah, so check out The Congress.
The Congress. Where'd you watch that?
I got the Blu-ray.
Okay.
I'd been very curious about it for a long time, and then Draft House had a sale on Black Friday, and I think it was like $5 or $7 or something, and I just like bit the bullet. I was like, I'm gonna like this movie.
I like it. I won't worry about
it.
Yeah. Awesome, man.
But it might be on Amazon. So.
Oh, I'll have to check it out. The Congress.
Yeah.
Cool.
I guess the next thing I watched recently was Into the Badlands. I think it's like a 6-episode miniseries. I didn't quite finish it. I'm like on 4, so it's a weird premise. I don't know if it's great yet, but
yeah,
it's kind of like I feel like it's in like the U.S., but it's kind of semi Mad Max. Like there was some great war or whatever, and so like they had a band together and be like, we're not doing guns anymore because they're killing everybody. So they all use like swords, and it's weird kung fu. So it's like kind of weird, like Mad Max, but like not so dirty and gritty. But then mixed with like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and it's like the main character is like this Asian dude named Sunny who just like beats the shit out of everybody, and it's a lot of fun to watch him fight things. But there's like all the other drama because then there's like the warlords. They call themselves barons. They each have like their own farms and stuff. They like rival with each other. And it's got some cool ideas, but really it's a cool like environment, I think, but then the story itself was just kind of weak, and so it's like a cool premise within a lot of cool fighting and half-ass storytelling. So
yeah, I gotcha.
if you want to watch something fun like on the side screen while you're doing work, I think it's a good thing to do because that's what I was watching it when I saw it. But I don't know if it's like a quality show on its own right yet. I haven't got the last 2 episodes though, but I also wasn't motivated to finish it.
Nice.
Yeah, I got you.
Well, Kung Fu's always fun.
Oh yeah, I mean that was the best part. I just loved Sonny like whooping up on people, and then he had like a weird protege who's like, I don't know, if he gets like his cut at all, like if any blood is exposed, he just like goes Super Saiyan and like murders everybody. And so he's like trying to like harness that because everybody else wants it, but they don't all know that it's this kid. And so Sonny's just like, no, dibs.
Nice.
He's nothing. Ignore me. Dibs.
I could use a good new like Kung Fu type.
I mean, it's worth a try. You might enjoy it more than I did. Like I said, I mean, I was also distracted because I was, up doing projects late at night, so I was watching it like 3 a.m.
I get you. Where'd you watch it?
I stole it off the internet.
Ah.
So I think it's a Stars show.
How dare you?
But I believe it's from Stars.
Okay, it's from Stars. Interesting. Okay. What's that called again?
Into the Badlands.
Into the Badlands. Cool
Into
title.
the Badlands.
Yeah, because like the Badlands is like the no man's land, I think, between barren areas.
Gotcha.
Oh, okay.
Nice. I was able to check out I only watched the pilot of the new Netflix show called The OA. And I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with it yet. I'm going to give it a couple more, but basically it's an interesting concept. It's about this girl who she's blind when she goes missing, and she's missing for I think like 7 years, and she comes back and she has her sight, and she doesn't know really how to explain what happened to her, and this whole town basically gets like crazed with this amazing comeback of this girl who's been missing for all this time, and she's back, she's grown up. And some people believe it to be like a miracle, and some people think that she's dangerous. And it's a very interesting show, and the one thing that's holding me back from being completely sold by it is I'm not the biggest fan of shows that like play with ambiguity, shows that like kind of play with the mystery and like mess with your head, like The Leftovers. I wasn't a fan of that.
I never saw that show, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it just played with you too much, and it's very frustrating to watch because you want to know these answers and it's never told to you, and I don't like that. But although I do like Lost, that's the exception. It's the same type of show, but so I'm gonna stick with it for a couple more episodes, see how I feel. but it's really well shot. It has some interesting actors in there that are trying really hard, doing their thing. And I think it's got stuff going for it. So as long as it doesn't keep me, constantly asking questions. They answer one question, you get 10 more questions.
So frustrating.
Yeah. As long as it doesn't do that too much, I think I might enjoy it. So that's the OA on Netflix, and it's a lot of people are digging it right now. So worth checking out.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's going to conclude our what we've been watching segment. Let's get into what everyone, including me, is really excited to talk about, which is Rogue One. Our review is starting right now.
Jin, whatever I do it to protect you. So you understand?
I understand.
You want to get out of here?
Our rebellion is all that remains to push back the Empire. We think you might be able to help us.
When was the last time you were in contact with your father?
What is this? It appears he is critical to the development of a super weapon.
If my father built this thing, we need to find him.
All right. How many do I need?
They are requesting a call sign.
It's, Rogue. Rogue One.
The power that we are dealing with here is immeasurable.
If the Empire has this kind of power, what chance do we have?
We have hope. Rebellions are built on hope. They've no idea we're coming.
Take hold of this moment. The Force is strong. Make 10 men feel like 100.
We'll take the next chance. And the next. You're rebels, aren't you?
Save the rebellion! Save the dream!
That was from the trailer of Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. This is the first standalone Star Wars movie to exist. It's directed by Gareth Edwards and with a screenplay by Chris Weitz and Tony Gilroy, based on the story by John Knoll and Gary Whitta, and of course based on characters created by George Lucas. And it stars Felicity Jones, Diego Luna, Alan Tudyk, and many others. And IMDb description says, the Rebel Alliance makes a risky move to steal the plans for the Death Star, setting up the epic saga to follow. This has been doing pretty well in theaters, of course. I mean,
Yeah.
Star Wars, it's making a killing in money right now.
I mean, I don't want to call you out, but I think the Christmas special was the first standalone Star Wars movie.
Fair. Although
Yeah.
I don't think that's canon.
Yeah.
But it's true. And yeah, so I mean, there's definitely a lot to talk about. So we're going to talk about right now just our general thoughts on the movie, without any spoilers, and then we'll talk all spoilers. It will be free for all. We can do everything we want in that segment. So
We can do anything we want.
yeah. So Zach, what did you think of Star Wars or Rogue One, A Star Wars Story?
I liked it. I definitely had some gripes, but overall, I think it was a very valiant effort And that being said, not to insinuate that I didn't enjoy it, but I am very curious what got changed in those reshoots.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Very curious about that. I had a few big issues that I'll talk about more in the spoiler section. But overall, I was just I didn't feel like it was what I was led to believe. In the sense that, like, to me, it was not a standalone Star Wars movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so, very good. Bojo, what'd you think?
Well, I think it's a fair assessment that it's not actually a standalone. I mean, it is and it isn't, because because it's not really a spoiler, because they say that in the IMDb thing, but it sets up the saga to follow, so, like,
yeah,
it is its own movie, but it is very much like we're setting up A New Hope, very blatantly.
Yeah, yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I think it's funny that they call it out as a standalone, but it is very much ingrained in the Star Wars universe and saga and legacy.
But my opinion was, I feel like it gets hindered by the fact that it's a Star Wars movie, so you expect so much from it. When, like, to me, I felt like it was just a fun action-adventure film, and, like, that was mostly it. Like, it wasn't great, it wasn't bad, it was what it needed to, like, what it wanted to be, I feel like. It was just, like, kind of like a war film that was just a fun action-adventure and told a story.
Yeah.
And I think it succeeded on that. I thought it was a lot of fun. I want to see more.
Yeah.
My biggest thing that I loved about it, though, was it had a standalone film with minimal Jedis and minimal Skywalkers. Because I've always been upset, because I feel like Star Wars has set up such a beautiful universe, you don't need the main characters anymore. Like, I
totally.
want to see
Agree completely.
I want to see an Old Republic story so bad, but... So I hope this is, like... It was okay, but I hope it sets up for them to take bigger and more risks to try different stories.
Yeah. I pretty much agree with everything you guys said. I really liked the movie. I think it's a very fun addition to the Star Wars saga. I love that it was mainly, it's its own thing. I like that yes, we talked about being a standalone, but it's its own thing in the sense that it's just a closed story. There's no sequels. It is its own thing. And it takes place in this very specific time of this side story that we don't typically see. And in many ways, it took that and it did become its own thing in the sense of style and editing choices and some other things, which I really like and I'm all about. Because if we're going to expand the universe, there's many stories we can tell, right? That's not just about the Skywalkers,
Yeah, totally.
The universe is huge, and I want to see other stories. And I hope that this opens it up for even smaller scale stories, that have nothing to do with the main timeline events, Maybe we'll just see, like you said, old Republic stuff, So in that sense, I really, really enjoy it. I do think, like you said, Bojo, it relies sometimes a little too heavily on the fact that it's being a Star Wars movie. And there's too many, in my opinion, too many fan call-outs. It's very Easter egg heavy, and it's cool once in a while, but when you are just throwing them in there, it can take me out, even though I enjoy seeing them. Someone who's never seen Star Wars, they're not going to know what that is, and so you just...
Exactly.
Now you've seen a joke that you don't understand, so it's like... That, I think, ruins it for some other people. But yeah, overall, I really like the movie. I love the look of it, the feel of it. I feel like it's really ingrained in that Star Wars universe that we love, It feels very practical, and it felt like it was a real place. And the cinematography is amazing, and the acting's great. But I do have some gripes, which I think we probably kind of all agree on, but we'll talk more about that soon.
I do also want to add, though, that I also really like this because I feel like because of the other Star Wars stories that they're setting up, this one is the only one that doesn't rely on, like, original characters. Because, like, next we're getting a Han Solo movie.
Right.
I've heard there's rumors of, like, a Boba Fett movie. And so, like, these are all characters that we already know. Like,
yeah,
telling, like,
totally.
a backstory, but, like... But there's very minimal characters that are in the future ones that, like, I feel like play a huge role. So it's like they don't rely on like, you know, your Han Solos or like making a Leia movie or something like that. Like it's a brand new character with like mostly an original story. Like nothing else super ties into what we've already seen.
And let's talk about how the fact that I feel like it probably adds value to the movies to follow, right? Like it brings some new depth to A New Hope, which is something that you should get out of a prequel, right? The prequel movies, episodes 1, 2, and 3, I feel like they didn't make the originals better, and I feel like Rogue One has ways of enhancing A New Hope, and where now you have a different perspective on it. Now you have a different perspective on everything that happens in the first movie.
Although you have to remind me about this when we get to the spoilers part, because I totally have something to add on to that, but it's inappropriate for now.
Okay, fair enough. But
I guess I just don't know. Like I wouldn't say it doesn't, but I don't know how much it added. For me, like I definitely still enjoyed the movie, but I almost wish it was more removed from the other ones, and not necessarily in like the story, but like the callbacks and some of the usage of characters. And
that's fair, but
it just makes me worried for the future, because like if this is going to be the most standalone we get, we're not seeing any like true because they're definitely new characters, but like why can't we have a movie just in an entirely different timeline in the universe? You know what I mean?
Right.
That's like,
well, that's what I was saying earlier. Was I hope that this kind of opens it up. It's kind of like a transitional.
Yeah.
More transitional probably than we thought it would be, but I hope it opens it up for like, movies that are completely its own thing.
It's just worrisome because the next one is like the exact opposite, like young Han Solo movie, and then if the other one's like Boba Fett prequel, it's like not that those movies sound bad, but it's just like I'd rather see, who knows.
Yeah, just
Star Wars movie,
just
random guy,
just a completely different adventure, in the universe. Which, I hope that we get that.
As a person who's a huge fan of Boba Fett, despite the fact that he is kind of chump change in the actual what you see on screen, I am unsure that Disney can pull off a good like villain origin movie. And I'd rather them not try than try and horribly, horribly fail, or like try to make like some like redeeming quality. It's like, no, it's like, I mean, mild spoiler for episode 2 or whatever, but like Boba saw his dad get killed, and it seems like he's just an asshole bounty hunter for like his entire life and just murdering people. It's like, how redeeming can you make that character?
Yeah. This is going to lead off a little more off topic, but I hope it opens it up for. Like, if you're talking about villain movies, I would like to see a Darth Vader movie.
But we've had 3 of those, and they didn't work because they were told poorly.
Those are, okay, different team of people.
I understand, but
different team of filmmakers, and also him being Darth Vader, not becoming Darth Vader.
Okay. Him
being Darth Vader, and... Because I've read some comics lately that follows, like, the time between A New Hope and Empire, and it follows Darth Vader through that, and that was awesome. Him just following him on missions and like being a badass is pretty cool. I don't know. Like I said, that's a little off topic, but I wouldn't be opposed to seeing that. But anyway, let's talk about some of the things that we had problems with. Generic.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that you had a problem with in the movie, without spoilers?
Well, I'll say, did you guys see it in 3D or 2D?
2D.
I thought I was going to see it in 2D.
You saw it in 3D?
Got to the show and it was 3D, and it was this is the only one we can go to, because we're in Ohio, like on a business trip when I saw it. So, I will say I was very bummed that I saw it in 3D. I definitely wish I saw it in 2D.
Yeah.
Because the whole time I was just telling myself, like, this movie looks better. Like, it looks better than this. Like, this looks
like,
good.
ruined the look for you and everything in 3D?
It just, the separation was too much, and, like, when it showed, like aliens, like, I couldn't tell, like, what was prosthetic and what wasn't, because I heard there were so many prosthetic aliens, and it's like, is this a prosthetic? It just looks
Most
so digital
were.
that, yeah, and
Most were.
I couldn't really tell until like it had a close up, you know.
Right.
So it was a little frustrating in that regard. It also was just like projected a stop under, which I feel like is, you know, you got to compensate for those glasses, guys.
The 3D is typically a little darker. And that sucks, man. You got to go see it again in 2D.
I really want to. I was going to before the review. I just didn't have time to. But,
Yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, I do definitely wish that I saw it in 2D.
That's odd.
But that being said, what was that?
Oh, I was gonna say that's odd because I don't feel like I've seen a movie where I'm like, man, I'm really bummed I saw that in 3D.
Oh, I'm not like a huge fan of 3D personally.
Really?
Sometimes some movies call for it. Like, I don't remember, we saw a couple movies that like had to be seen in 3D, but most I'm just like,
Yeah.
Like Star Wars for me, just watching 2D, you know.
Yeah.
I guess. I feel like maybe the ones I've seen then just haven't been like too much trying to be like in your face 3D, where just I feel like it just has made it look more 3-dimensional, so you can kind of see the spatial difference better.
Mm.
But I mean I don't normally watch a movie in 3D unless like it's a movie I'm super excited to go see, because the 3D movie tickets are just kind of pricey. So it's like, nah.
Yeah.
I'm not able to just see it for every movie.
What are some of the problems you had with the movie?
You should just skip me for right now. I'll ponder on it real quick.
Right off the top of my head, for me, I like the characters that they set up. I like that they had all these individual unique characters, and the actors did so well. But I don't think that they gave them enough. I thought that they were very thinly written, and these actors are like giving it their all. And
totally,
these characters, you really could boil them down based on the writing to like a couple lines. You know what I mean?
None of the characters were developed enough.
They
were
weren't
all
developed
pretty
enough.
flat.
And I feel like the Forrest Whitaker character, he did such an awesome job, and his character was so interesting, but we don't see him enough, and I don't feel like I care about any of the characters really as much as I do in, say, Force Awakens. You know?
Totally. Because the strong part of Force Awakens was the characters.
Exactly.
Like, all the new characters were really good. For me, it was just the fact that, like, I've seen this story before. Like, the structure is generic.
Right.
But the characters are great. And, like,
and you want to hang
feel like
out
it was
with
almost
them.
the opposite. Yeah. It was like the style and execution of this one was what made it so good, but the characters were just kind of like whatever. Like,
yes, that's exactly it.
See, I think building off that, like one of my issues was like, I don't think the characters were necessarily too terribly written, but the problem is they kept adding characters, so they never had enough time to like develop themselves too much.
Yeah, you don't get that any backstory. No
like,
context.
look at the poster. There's like 8 people on there, and like they all become a part of the movie, but then no one's really on screen too much, except for Jen and Cassian.
Yeah,
and it's like, and I mean they were okay, but they were kind of bland because they were so forced upon the path of like the scripts needed them to do. They didn't get a whole lot of time to like really show a lot of emotion,
and they sort of just unite for no real reason, you know.
Yeah,
like some of them. I don't want to get too into the details, but 2 in particular, like the Force-sensitive guy, which is in the trailer, with the staff.
Bo staff.
And his friend, the guy with the gun. I forget his name. But those characters, I feel like, were interesting characters. They're cool characters, but they're not like given any depth. And like, why are they there? They sort of just join the group, and
it's weird. They just like show up, and everyone it just is like, let's just do it because we need to, but you don't feel that weight. Like, that was one of my issues, is just like I didn't feel the weight of what was going on, and I didn't get like the hope feeling that I feel like the whole movie was pushing for.
Right.
That like we all got to band together because it's all about like hope, and then it feels like they just go like, yeah, let's do it. Like, we're all cool guys. Like, let's go on this trip together.
Did you guys phrase it that way? Because I play Dungeons and Dragons a lot. It reminds me of when you're trying to get like a new group together, where it's like, look, some crazy event, and now your guys are like working together for like 30 minutes. Yeah. And it's like, but because we need you to, you're just gonna stick together. Like, I understand, like once you got from point A to point B, you'd be like, well, I'm gonna go do my own thing. But like, we need you to be friends, so like, just play along.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's like. And I want to talk more on that in spoilers.
I know. I'm trying really hard to not.
No, I know it's hard to be
certain
vague.
things.
Alan Tudyk as K2SO, I thought he kind of like stole the show.
Yeah.
That was one good character that I really liked him.
I thought his writing was good, but it kind of bothered me that he sounded so much like C-3PO.
You thought he sounded like
Personally.
C-3PO?
I thought he sounded a lot like C-3PO.
Like,
and I kind of just wish they made... And this is a weird thing, so it's like they would never do this, but like, why can't he just have like a different like sound? Like R2-D2 makes like bleeps. Like, why can't we have a robot that just makes like grinding noises? Or you know what I mean? Like,
I feel like he didn't sound like him to me.
yeah, I want to ask: are you like saying that he sounds like him in like voice patterns or like actual like voice itself, like the way he speaks,
like
or
not
his
the
voice?
the writing of him was good. Like I don't think his character was like C-3PO. I think his character was different. I just think the actual voice that he used sounded like C-3PO.
I didn't notice.
I think they
that.
just could have like
I didn't get that sense.
differentiated it a little bit.
Okay.
I also feel like those kind of like they're all droids, so like,
Yeah, I kind of just thought he's a droid.
how many different voice speeches do you think they like really?
It was a different voice. Different voice.
Well,
actor.
I mean, the other robot though, that's exactly like him, has a different voice, doesn't it?
I don't remember.
I don't remember.
I'd have to go back because that was something I
'Cause
didn't really realize. I didn't pay attention to it throughout the film.
There's only one other time I think well, I can't say it because it's
Yeah.
There's a scene with another robot that's the same type of robot because he's like hacked or whatever, and you know, isn't that? And I'm pretty sure that it's not Alan Tudyk's voice, so that therefore it's like, you know,
That sounds right.
That's a
You know
fair
what I mean?
point.
it's not like a huge thing where I'm like, I'm not gonna point off the score
Right.
because he's too much like C-3PO, but it's just like would have been nice to like push it a little farther in a different direction for me.
Supposedly Alan Tudyk improv'd a lot of his lines too, which is kind of cool because he's a comedic actor, and having those comedic roots kind of come out there, and he improvised stuff and they kept it, which is kind of cool.
I mean, I think K2SO is my favorite character of the film, followed by the blind staff guy.
Nice.
He's
There's one thing I did really like about K2SO, which is not in any other movie, which you either have a droid who can talk and do nothing, and you have a droid who can't talk and does a lot of stuff, like R2.
Yeah.
Can't understand him, does a lot of cool practical stuff. C-3PO just talks. He can't do anything. He's just there.
Yeah. Just
This
like
guy
carries trays. Like,
yeah, K2SO could talk and do stuff, which I thought was cool.
yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
And I loved the design of him.
Yeah, he looked cool.
Which might be a good segue into just like they got the design spot on for this movie.
The set design is amazing. The production design is so good.
You could tell that there was so much care put into the look and all the sets and the costumes and the props. Like the design of everything was awesome.
Yeah.
Everything looked perfect.
I agree. You could feel the love
totally
by the people who made it, for sure. And I think what definitely stands out than Force Awakens is it's in that original timeline, you know, where Force Awakens kind of sets up a whole new era. You don't have the Empire, you have the First Order. This was the Empire, this was the Rebel Alliance, and it felt like it was part of those movies.
Yeah.
Which on that level succeeded.
I do agree with that. Like it felt like it was actually in that time period because like Force Awakens, like it's later on. It's like their ships got nicer and stuff. They look fancy. And in the prequels was like way too over CGI. It's like everything's super beautiful and amazing,
sleek.
But like this brought it back to like that gritty, like, you know, you kind of imagine like these are the ships that they could like they had available. They didn't have anything better, so like this is what they had, and they fixed up as best they could. And
it's a war movie too, right? And it felt very war torn, and it's awesome.
And then,
I will say that, or you can go.
No, you can finish first.
I was just gonna say I do think there were a few too many new ships and like new helmets and stuff. Where like I thought all of those looked awesome, but you can get away with it a little better when it's like the prequels and it's like, oh yeah, everything changes. There's all this time, like when this is like, okay, getting into spoilers again. But the time between is a point where, like, where are all these ships in the original movies? Like, they kept the design really good, and, like, they're the ships that, like, the Emperor rides in that have, like, the tails that flip down when it takes off. And then the cargo ships are exactly the same, but they have 2 of them.
Yeah,
and, like, stuff like that's really cool.
I'm surprised they didn't use the original transport ships.
Yeah.
They redesigned that, and that's, I think, a very obvious difference. But I mean, you have the original stormtroopers in there, but you also have a couple new units.
You got, like, the weird sand troopers that are on the beach at the end.
The Scarab
And you got the Death Trooper. Yeah, and you got the Death Troopers, and it's like, those guys are awesome, but, like, did all those guys just die before?
I will defend the Death Troopers
happens?
and say that they are only supposed to be bodyguards of...
Oh, yeah?
Krennic,
of that guy?
Of Krennic, yeah.
Oh, okay, well, that makes sense then.
Yeah.
I am also
Sand Trooper, the Scarif, though.
I am going to add in, though, from the original ones, like, you see so many, like, there's different, like, jungle troopers, there's sand troopers.
Yeah.
You know, you have, like, there's
Snow
so many other
troopers.
troopers and snow troopers. Like, they already have so many classifications. I feel like it's reasonable to assume that, like, these are other types of troopers for other planets that they just never went to those regions.
We haven't seen them before.
Yeah. And also for some of the ships, I can't say for all the ships, but some of the ships, because I've played a lot of, like, the really old Star Wars, like, space fighter games, they felt like they were kind of like early editions, because there was, I don't know if this is a spoiler or much so, but at one point they show a ship that's, like, kind of looks like a TIE fighter, but it has, like, just 2 pointed wings on top.
Yeah.
And they don't really show it much, but I feel like that's, like, the early design of the TIE Interceptor, who gets more of, like, it gets 4 of those kind of things, and it bounces out more, but it felt to me like an early edition of the TIE Interceptor and stuff like that. So, like, it was kind of like iterations of the same ship, maybe.
Yeah.
Because also, like, then the bad guy in the white cloak, I forgot his name off the top of my head. Krennic. Like, he has, like, an Imperial transport, but it's, like, fancier, bigger, and black, but, like, it functions the same way. It just looks a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another complaint I have too is talking about what you mentioned, Zach, the reshoots. I do feel like the reshoots might have negatively affected the movie, because this is another one of my big complaints is the plot felt a little messy at times. It felt like it was reshot and, like, reorganized and jumbled up.
It felt like, all right, they're together, they go to a planet. They're together, they go to a planet. They're together, they go to a planet.
Oh, yeah.
And it gets really slow in the middle. Like, the second act almost goes to a halt. And then there's one scene we'll talk about, but right at there, it switches and someone, like, pushes their foot on the pedal, and it's just, like, fast till the end. And that's great. The third act is awesome. But I do think some pacing was weird, and it just felt a little messy with some of the plot. You know, I feel like stuff was cut out and stuff was added in.
It felt like a little there. You could see the band-aids a little bit.
Yeah,
it's like you could tell they kind of, like, are covering stuff and, like, trying to make it work.
They're shifting things, and I mean, and I'll tell you straight out, the trailers. If you've seen any of the trailers, about 50% of the trailers aren't in the movie.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Go back and rewatch them. Shots, whole set pieces, and sometimes just individual lines that were either done differently or not included at all are in the trailers, and makes me really wonder what was the original movie gonna be like. I
know.
What were the original scenes before this, you know? And I do think that they probably, based on what I've read and stuff, that they've tried to make it a little less dark and make the main character more likable. There's other things I'll mention, spoilers, but yeah, I'm just very curious about what the movie was originally going to be, you know?
Planets, so
yeah,
that's an issue I had on. In the very beginning of the movie, they're like the characters don't planet hop, but they show different characters. Like, it planet hops to, like, 4 different planets in, like, the first 10 minutes. And, like, so they're just, like, constantly throwing up names, just like, I can't really follow this. And then later in the film, they show a new planet, never once name it. Like, they just never name it. Like, I don't want to say it right now because it's kind of a spoiler. But we'll
talk about it.
Like, it's really frustrating because, like, with the scene set up before it, like, the characters make comment about going to a planet, and then they cut to this one, so you just kind of, like, in your mind would assume that this is the one they're talking about. It's not. It's a completely different place than either of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is weird.
Is there any other things we want to add? General thoughts that you want to add to...
I'm struggling. I want to spoil
Yeah.
anything I say.
It looked great. The performances were good, but the characters were thin. And I thought there were too many callbacks to the other Star Wars, I think is my generic boiled down.
Then let's talk about one last thing, non-spoilers. Let's rank the movies. All Star Wars movies.
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, I think we should just do 1 through 4.
Well, okay, let's...
Top 4.
No prequels, because we all agree on those. Those are on the bottom, right?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you did prequels, it's 3, 1, and then 2.
So just say the originals, Force Awakens, and Rogue One. What is the order for you? What's the order?
I'd have to go, I think, Return of the Jedi, New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, and then Rogue One. I mean, it was okay.
What about Force Awakens?
Oh, shit, Force Awakens. Should I say that's top 5? I'll put that 3rd, and then go Empire Strikes Back, and then Rogue One.
Wow, you put Empire way down there. That's like considered the favorite.
See, my issue with Empire is I love it when we do like our trilogy time and we watch all 3 because it has so many good like emotional build-ups. But if you watch it by itself, like the entire middle of the film is just kind of slow and dragging. And it's like I like it because I feel like the build-up to what it gets to is great. But that's why I like it as like a trilogy because then like you hit that awesome high point and then you go into Return of the Jedi, which is awesome.
I will disagree with you a little bit on that. My order is Empire Strikes Back, number 1. And then I think because of this movie, A New Hope is 2nd. And then Jedi. And then Force Awakens, Rogue One. And that's always been... The top 3, obviously, are up there. They're better than Force Awakens, Rogue One. But those are always kind of jumbled.
Uh-huh.
But, I mean, Empire is just my favorite. It's always been my favorite. And it just has a lot of those iconic moments for me. You have Darth revealing something to Luke. You have the battle on Hoth. You have Yoda. You have Cloud City and Lando and Han being kick-ass. So that's personally why it's my favorite. New Hope, it's the original, and there's some value there. And Return of the Jedi... it's rough for me until the very end, and the 3rd act is just amazing. But yeah, and one last thing I'll say is Force Awakens, I think, goes above Rogue One for me because in the end, it has characters that I care more about, and I want to see more of them. And it had a little bit more of that magic for me. It had a little more of that Star Wars magic and charm where I walked out and I was like, wow, I actually feel a little emotional because of that.
Yeah.
And I felt like it got the feeling of the Star Wars movies better than this one, although this one has the look better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
and I feel like part
trade-offs.
of the point of this one was almost to depart from that, but then you watch it and you're like, is that what I want though? Because real quick sidebar, are you guys worried about the dilution of Star Wars? That it's not going to be as special based on the quantity that's being made?
I am a little concerned. I'm scared that it's going to be kind of the Marvel curse where it may start to get old and superhero movies might start getting old. But at the same time, it's like, man, imagine a time when we didn't have Star Wars every year. And as a fan, how awesome is that? So
yeah.
I have mixed feelings.
I guess I just hope... Or what were you going to say?
I'm going to go with it until they make a really terrible film. I guess. Because, Rogue One wasn't bad. It was just okay. I'm excited for it because I feel like it can help set up the stage for more single-shot characters that we don't know anything about. But by itself, like I said, it's just okay. It's nothing spectacular to stand out.
Yeah, yeah.
But what about you? You got to rank them, Zach.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'll preface this by saying Empire is definitely the best. Empire is the best made film of all of them. But I think my favorites are Jedi.
Really?
And then Empire.
Look at you guys.
And then A New Hope. And then I don't know between the two. I feel like I need to see Rogue One again. The 3D was too distracting.
Yeah, you need to see it again. I mean, I definitely can't wait to see it again. I'm going to see it again this weekend.
Nice.
Yeah.
I definitely liked what Rogue One did stylistically more, and not necessarily because like I don't know. It just the design was better. The feel of Force Awakens was there. The characters were there, but like ultimately I've seen it before.
Yeah.
And this was slightly new, you know?
It's weird because they both have these trade-offs, and it's really kind of comes down to which one you prefer to find more value in, you know?
I think though that I definitely need to see it again before I can decide which one I like better, personally.
All right, fair
so
enough.
I don't know.
You don't even want to temporarily rank it.
Yeah, I don't know.
I will say.
I think for now I'll say I like Rogue One more, but we'll see when I watch it again.
I walked out of Rogue One thinking, hands down, it's better than Force Awakens. But I've thought about it a lot leading up to this podcast. I've talked to some people. Not that that's really, in a way, I guess it's kind of influenced, but I've through much thought I've placed it under Force Awakens for the reasons that I mentioned. But I can't wait to see Rogue One again. I'm gonna see it, like I said, this weekend.
Nice.
Maybe I'll like it even more second time. I don't know, but I mean, we all liked it, right? I mean, overall, I really liked it. So
yeah,
I mean, it was awesome. So
yeah, it's great. I think it's an extremely well-intentioned, valiant effort in the very least.
Yeah.
You know? Like even if you don't like it, you can tell that they were really trying and putting a lot of care into making it something really cool.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that just got meddled with, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's a certain choice that's unforgivable, and we'll get to that in spoilers.
Yes. Oh, okay. I already know. All right. Well, you guys ready for spoilers?
Yes.
All right. Let's do it.
I'm ready.
Spoilers starting right now.
The Empire's building a terrible weapon. I need your help. We can stop them. This is your chance to make a real difference. We have hope. Rebellions are built on hope. Are you with me?
All the way.
I want to throw out the first gripe. A lot of my issues with the film also are very like nitpicky things. Like at the very end of the film when she has like her Imperial disguise, it's a goddamn semaphore. The people who are like, hey yeah, come land on this platform. Why is she getting to all these high-level restricted areas? And everyone's like, why is there a fucking semaphore up here? What's up with that? And just like, no, just no one's gonna comment on that.
It's a very obscure.
I know, but it's something that I noticed. It's like that, and like the fact that her visor kept going up, and you've never once seen any Star Wars character ever with a helmet have a visor that just constantly go up and down with. And that frustrated me to no one because like we gotta show you that it's her, so you know she gets some screen time. But it's like no, fuck that. Like she has a helmet, let her be in a disguise.
Well, also, she's the main character, so it's like of course she has screen time.
I don't care.
No, I'm saying I'm agreeing with you.
I know, but it's just like
yeah.
Stop it. That, and I guess while I'm on it, in that same time area, Cassian gets an Imperial officer outfit, and it's like, it's kind of awkward seeing a Hispanic man in here when we only hire British, pale, pasty British men. And it's just like, now this clearly brown guy, he's cool. We're just not going to question him one bit. I guess the Empire is becoming more diverse and not racist. Like, no one ever says...
As long as he doesn't have to speak, I think it can pass.
No one ever once made a comment like, hey, I don't know if you're an officer.
Say it, Zach. What do you want to say?
Oh my god. Let's just dive right into CG Peter Cushing.
Like I said, I told Bojo this. That's everyone's biggest complaint.
I didn't notice
it's
crazy much, honestly.
Maybe it's because I saw it in 3D, but for me it was just like, oh, this is fucking brutal. Like, get this guy off the screen. Because they start it, and it's his reflection in the glass. It's like, okay, I can get behind this. Like, doing it classy. Just showing the reflection. And then he turns around and is in like 20 more minutes of the movie. And every time it cut to him, I was just like, what the fuck? Like, just recast this guy. Because for me, it's like, I don't need Grand Moff Tarkin to be Peter Cushing. It's not like I hold him in this high regard that I'm like, ooh, Grand Moff Tarkin, how could you taint his image? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I think the intention behind it is that the fact that they could do that, it's like, oh, it's pretty crazy technology. But I do agree that why didn't they just recast him, especially with such a large role? You know,
totally.
He has a bigger role and more lines than A New Hope.
It's crazy, and like for me, personally, when you're seeing him talk to Ben Mendelsohn, it's like Ben Mendelsohn just looks like a younger him in this movie, and it seems like they're almost going for that. So like, why do we even need this new character? Why doesn't Ben Mendelsohn just play Grand Moff Tarkin?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. When I saw the trailer originally, I thought that was supposed to be the original Grand Moff Tarkin.
Oh, really?
His rise to power. Yeah, because they didn't really give him a name or anything like that. Like, it didn't look necessarily like him, but it's just like this old white dude, and it's like he's clearly power hungry and trying to rise to the ranks. So I thought this like might have been.
He's got the same vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. I thought Krennic was a little thin too, but also there's one thing I do really love about Krennic, which is his fucking badass white suits.
It's because he's so evil.
I love his costume.
The colors revert. You get so evil or so good that you can wear the colors of the opposite team.
No, I've never seen that before though. You know, it was cool to see.
It was,
and I like how it kind of progressed too, as he like clearly in the past he had like a cheaper version, and then. As he advanced, he like got like a cooler cape and shit. Yeah. Anyway, but about CG Tarkin, for me, there's a part of me that I don't mind it too much because it makes sense for him to be there. I mean, in the sense of the Star Wars story and the timeline. Yeah, of course he'd be there. He's the Grand Moff. Yeah, and that's where he takes over the Death Star. But also, it's like you could have just recast him because we're not quite there in technology. You know that he's not real.
We're not there yet.
Fake. And
they animate them too much. They're just like blinking and like like pulsing their lips, and it's just like it's just like fucking weird.
It was the mouth too. Every time he spoke, you could see it in the mouth.
His lips look really thin, and like we're not there yet. People are getting cocky with the technology. It's like, guys, not there yet.
Yeah, you can't do it with people yet because like I wasn't sure if they like found a really good recast in 2D, but like there was something like when I saw him where it's just like, because I know this man is dead, like there's like a weird uncanny valley, but I can't quite place it because I don't think my eyes train as much as you guys for film stuff.
I could just tell he wasn't real. He looked CG.
I mean, it was like
it looked really good in the reflection.
Yeah,
when you first see him, like that looks good.
It's more distorted, you know. It's you have an excuse for it.
So I can see where like you think that maybe it's like this is just some guy and this is recast, and then he turns around and it's like
he was more of I feel like they exaggerated his features too. Like he seemed more like a caricature of Grand Moff. Like his cheekbones were bigger. He had like longer arms. He looked more evil.
Yeah,
I thought he looked more characterized. But
I don't understand why they think people need to be like, this looks it's the same actor. Yeah. Like, for Leia, it makes a little more sense, because it's like, you recast Princess Leia, that's bullshit, everyone would get really mad.
Also, it's just a flash of her. It's not a whole fucking part.
But it's also like, just don't show the flash. Show her from behind, maybe show, like, the side of her face like, covered, or like... You could have done it classy, and they were close to doing it classy. And if they had done Grand Moff in just a reflection, it would have been totally fine CG.
Yeah, like have Princess Leia... Yeah, sorry.
No, it's fine.
I was just going to say, have Princess Leia just grab the disc, and then the door closes behind her. She never turns around or something. Like, you get it. Her dress is there.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, because again, I wasn't super noticing the Grand Moff Tarkin. Leia was so short that like I didn't get a whole lot of time to like kind of analyze her. So my assumption, I mean, she looked weird and grainy though, which is my issue with I feel like how you can tell that they're more CG. Mm-hmm. But it was just like you couldn't find one person who looked like young Leia to say one line. Like that seems like the easiest recast to do because it's such a short scene.
Well, also, I feel like Grand Moff Tarkin kind of takes away the magic of that, too, right? If they had, like, just recast Grand Moff Tarkin or just showed that one little scene of him in the reflection, seeing Princess Leia would have been like, oh, shit, like, that's amazing. Like, they brought her back, you know? But because we've already seen this whole part of CG Grand Moff Tarkin, seeing Leia, it's like, it's not as effective, you know?
Yeah, and to end the movie with it, too. Because, like, I was loving the movie. And honestly, that was the first time where I was like, just, like, gagging. I don't know. I honestly, I can't get past it. Like, it bothered me so much. Like,
really?
And honestly, maybe it was the 3D. Maybe in 2D it looks incredible. But in 3D, I was like, I'm watching a video game. Like, why is this guy on screen right now? Like, I do not understand how they thought this was okay. Like,
does anybody know then if Mon Mothra was CG or just recasted?
She was recast.
No, I think she was recast.
No, she was definitely recast.
You recast Mon Mothma? Like, come on.
Yeah.
She has less lines than Tarkin.
Yeah, it's like it's just like really cocky to be like, oh yeah, we'll just do them all CG, and it didn't even look like it was motion or
motion capture.
Motion capture.
It was motion captured. They cast a guy, and then just put CG over his face, basically.
Yeah, just the face was brutal. It was brutal.
It was like the lines on his face were.
It did
like,
seem...
the skin, you could tell. It was just not quite realistic.
His face seemed more sunken, I felt like.
Well, that's what I meant too. Yeah, like he's more exaggerated in the features.
Yeah, giving you that word you needed, you're looking for.
Yeah. But yeah, that was definitely my biggest problem with the movie. I just like did not understand why they did that.
Really?
Because for me, I just do not care. Like, just cast someone. And then have a line where they go, Mr. Tarkin, and he turns around and you go, yep, Grand Moff Tarkin. There you go. You know? Then I know. And it is fine. I mean, who cares?
I would have rather a recast because I liked the role that Grand Moff Tarkin played in the film.
Yeah.
But I mean, I can't counter your arguments about how he looked personally, but I liked the character being there and having those roles.
Yeah, I'm totally okay with him being in the movie. I thought it was cool because it's like, it totally makes sense.
It makes sense that he would be there. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not griping that he's in the movie. I just don't understand why they... It seems like they felt like obligated to make him the CG character.
Yeah.
In their defense...
When it's just like, why? Who cares?
Playing devil's advocate, and in their defense, maybe they were thinking, like, this takes place, like, you know, a day before A New Hope. So he had to look the same.
Oh, yeah. That also... Cause I wanted to remind you about... We got to spoilers. So one thing I thought was hilarious, because when you open up with episode 4, and Vader, you know, boards the ship with Leia, and it's like, you're a rebel and a spy, like a traitor, and it's like, away with you.
Yep.
And it's like... But now with context of Rogue One, it's like, basically if you robbed a bank, and they followed the getaway car, and like, we know you're at the bank. You're like, no, it was a diplomatic mission to the bank. And it's like, bullshit. Like, I followed you from the war zone. We know it was you. You clearly are a bad guy to us. And it's just like, it kind of like makes, I feel like, that opening scene of episode 4 now a little bit weaker. Because before, you know, it just seemed like they stopped the ship because, like, you know, they're spies or intel or whatever. And so like, no, we know you're a spy. We're getting our stuff back. Whereas here, now it's like, we watched you leave the scene of the crime. Like, we absolutely know it's you. There's no doubt in my mind.
Does Darth Vader actually see Leia with the plans?
Doesn't, but the thing is, like, they see that ship leave from one of the ships.
And it's the exact same ship.
Yeah.
Because I watched A New Hope after.
Yeah, it's the Corellian Corvette is what they're called.
Ah.
Yeah. Told you I played a lot of the old space games. I played with X-Wing, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter back in like the early 90s. But yeah, so like they had that, and it was just like they clearly just followed them from the war zones. Like, we know it's you. It's like, no, pish posh.
There's one thing that I noticed because I watched A New Hope, though. I don't think there has to be a little bit of gap of time there because some things are unanswered if you rewatch A New Hope, which is they're talking about we were on a diplomatic mission to Alderaan, right? There had to have been something in between there. I think it might have not been exactly like the ship left and then the ship caught up to the ship that just left and now it's the movie. I think there's like
That's how they made it feel.
A little bit of leeway there.
They made it feel like it's just like that. It escapes, and then 4 is them tracking down the ship that escaped.
Yeah. I don't know.
It seemed very much like this is going on right now.
Yeah. Another issue that I also had I want to bring up because Kelly disagreed with me somewhat with my fiance. But towards the end of the battle, they have the Hammerhead Corvette or whatever it is. I think it's called. I know it's Hammerhead something. It just like rams into one of the Star Destroyers.
Yes.
Takes minimal damage. And then slowly pushes that into another Star Destroyer and just like cuts it like cheese. Like it's just like mild pushing and just cuts it perfectly in half. And it's like, what? Like, I don't understand how this happened at all. Like I assume they're just gonna push into it. There's like 2 ships colliding, but no, it just
they took that technique from Star Wars Rebels, the cartoon show that's out right now.
Well, I would have had issue with that scene too because it doesn't make a lick of sense.
That's where they took it from. And there's some there's some Easter eggs from that in the movie as well.
I mean,
I did think that they could have had like 2 more of those ships come and do the same thing. It seemed kind of weird that this one
only one
does
do
it,
it,
and you're like, yeah, do it, and then it cuts wide, and you're like, whoa, that one little ship is doing all this.
Yeah,
because like the jets on the back of those Star Destroyers are bigger than that ship. So like, how is it moving this whole thing? Well, I mean, it seems like it would have been easy for 2 more to just fly in and go, oh yeah, there you go.
To be fair, the jets are in the back, so it's more forward propulsion.
Yeah.
Whereas that one is
also in space with no gravity.
Yeah, there's also that.
It's true.
So, like,
it's true.
Because at first, like, I was kind of been like, really, the ship's going to push the other ship? It's like, well, there's no gravity, so, like, once you get the momentum, you can start pushing it. But then it's like, but they don't push it fast enough, I feel like, to just, like, slice through another Star Destroyer. Like, I thought they would collide and, like, kind of like maybe have some explosions and then crash into the shield like they end up doing, but
I thought it was a cool technique.
I mean, it was cool.
I definitely like the idea of the ship pushing the other ship in and then like crashing into the shield. That was definitely cool. It just
seemed too
it's
easy.
Not like it bothered me a ton, but just since we're discussing it,
yeah,
could have just thrown in like one more ship.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Could have thrown in another one to strengthen it.
Since we are discussing like space physics a little bit, I have one minor gripe too that someone pointed out to me. I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I didn't notice this. Which was at the very end when the ship escapes. Right, Darth Vader. We'll get to that scene too. But Darth Vader gets through the ship into the platform, and the ship escapes, and he's standing at the platform where the ship has just escaped. If you look closely, he's standing in open space. So either
I thought about that.
He's and his cape is even like is like moving a little bit. So it's like, and they even talk about how soldiers would be sucked out in the vacuum of space if this happens, right? And then he gets through the door, and the ship escapes, and he's standing in the fucking vacuum of space, and he doesn't get like sucked out.
Well, I have
it's a little weird.
2 things for that.
It just looks weird.
Was there any other troopers with him when he did that? I don't remember.
There were.
There's some standing behind him. So they're just standing there. It's like the only way you can defend that is by if you had like the little blue shield like they always have. You know that.
Yeah.
Like ships always fly into the Star Destroyers with the shield.
I guess if you were really getting into it, you'd be like, yeah, use the Force, man, to counteract the.
But what about the stormtroopers? They should have flown out.
That's a big stretch.
I mean, that was the point I was going to make. Was like he was just like a badass with the Force that he could hold himself. But there's other people. They definitely should have just like whoop.
They're just standing there like space is just no, there's gravity and everything.
Yeah.
But anyway,
it's a little weird.
All they had to do was put the blue shield in front of it.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
A lot of easy fixes in this movie.
Yeah.
Really, yeah. Like,
a lot of easy fixes.
A lot of my gripes are like small things. There's also like the ending. When they're like, blow up the base. And they just fucking hit the satellite. And then like off in the distance, so you have like that slow explosion to like engulf the characters. And it's like, are you guys bad at shooting? Like, I mean, I know you're stormtroopers or whatever, but like you hit the last place dead on. And you hit the tower. So like clearly you're kind of aiming in the right spot, but you couldn't hit what you're aiming for.
Because they have to have it come flying at them, man.
But that was the thing. They had to have that slow in. And it's just like, it's like, my brain sees too much of like what should have happened that then like before the effects of the film just like it doesn't make sense.
About that, I will say one thing I do like that they did with that is you don't see a planet blown up, right? Which is awesome because in A New Hope he says, I think Grand Moff Tarkin says, I think it's time we see the full power of this battle station.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's when they blow up Alderaan. So all the other times they're just like blowing up cities and like mass waves of destruction, but they're not blowing up the planets, Which I thought was a smart thing that they did. They're
Totally.
not just like blowing up planets. They hadn't done that yet.
I do want to add, though, that it bothered me because when I saw that, with the amount of, like, upheaval of shit when they blew up Jeddah, even though they didn't destroy the planet, I'm pretty sure that would cause an extinction event on that planet. It would be uninhabitable for, like, a century or so.
Probably, yeah.
If not more. And so I find that kind of amusing, like, we're not going to kill a planet, but, like, really we're killing the planet. Just
I mean, it
slowly.
destroys the planet by making it barren.
Yeah.
But it doesn't...
Yeah.
It's still there, though.
I know. It still exists, but it's uninhabitable.
Like, Jeddah's destroyed.
Yeah.
But the planet kind of is just like a rock now.
Mm-hmm. I was also grumpy that Forrest Whitaker's character didn't have a bigger part.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, but now
what's
we're
up with that?
Like, he
Get
was
Forrest
so
Whitaker
cool.
in way more of this movie.
Right?
He's such a cool character with the breathing apparatus and everything.
Yeah.
And he's like...
And his voice,
like-
and he has that weird scene where he's like has that squid alien thing that like.
Yeah.
I love the squid alien thing because to me it seemed kind of like a harken back to like the Rancor. It's like we have this beast in a cage and we're just gonna unleash it when we want to. And
I fucking love that
like,
squid. That thing was awesome.
Yeah, you mildly had that in episode 2, I think, and it was meh. I think it was 3. It was the Coliseum thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, it feels like you're trying too hard. And it's kind of cool, but
Right.
the movie sucks so bad I can't enjoy it.
Yeah. And kind of going back to the beginning of the movie and talking spoilers. Back to like, I think that they cut some stuff out, obviously, because I just wish I could have seen a little bit more like development of Forrest Whitaker character, like raising her, like raising Jen, because we have a scene where she is literally rescued by him, and then it cuts to her being in jail, and it's like, okay, which I'm not saying you have to explain everything, but like, that could have been just like a little bit more we could have seen with Forrest Whitaker's character, you know?
Yeah. I also think like, why does he die? Just because he's like, it's my time. I'm staying, even though I could clearly come with.
Oh my god, that really bothers me because, okay, he's supposed to be this character who's clearly has never given up on anything. Like his body has deteriorated, right?
It's like, it's my time because
I
feel like it,
and he just accepts it. It's like after all this time, but you're like you fought so much and you're still alive and barely clinging on, and now you give up. Come on, like.
Yeah.
The hell?
I'm gonna throw a mild thing. I think it was poor storytelling, but in his eyes, Jin was continuing his fight. He is old and broken and barely surviving as it is.
Yes.
Where she's a fresh new face to go and continue the fight. But they didn't establish
But there's not enough
that well.
context there.
No, I agree. Like, I mean, that's what I read into it. That's not what they showed.
No, and that's fair.
Yeah.
But
and to me, it's like, and granted, this doesn't make for maybe as good of a scene, but like, okay, you're there, Jin is running away, they're gonna run back the ship. You don't try. You just go, you know what? No.
Go.
It's like
save the dream.
Run after them and then go, you know what? I'm not gonna make it. Save yourselves. You know. But like he's like, nope. Oh, we're all fucked. Like, okay, you guys are fine. Like, I'm just gonna stay. You know what I mean?
And of course,
I don't know.
Thinking about the writing too, they use that as an excuse to say, "Hey, now there's no proof. What's Jen talking about? We can't trust her. That you know, where are these plans she's talking about? You know, where's her father telling her that of his plan? Because that got destroyed and left behind, right?
Yeah,
and he would have been proof of that too. So they destroyed all evidence with him, and it's like." There could have been another way of doing that.
Yeah, I agree.
He just seemed like very much of a waste. He just seemed like a waste.
Yeah,
he did.
It's for me, and this might be getting slightly off topic, but I love me some Diego Luna.
Yeah.
But didn't know how necessary he was in this movie.
Yeah.
For me, just have Forrest Whitaker fill the role of Diego Luna in this movie.
That would have been way cooler, to be honest.
It would have been a way cooler movie.
Like having them fight at the end and stuff?
Was
that,
Captain
like Diego
Cassian?
Luna.
Cassian.
Okay.
Yeah. He's essentially just like a Han Solo for this movie.
Like a darker Han Solo.
Yeah, but the thing is, he's not even necessarily justified And, like, the idea that they have is cool, where it's like, you know what, like, the rebels, you know, I just do what I'm told, and you're new to this, and, like, you know what I mean.
Well, they have some dark side, too. I mean, war causes, because in the originals you have good and bad. That's it. And this kind of shows a different perspective of, hey, you know, sometimes the rebels had to do some bad things for the greater good, you know.
Totally.
And they use that with Diego Luna. But yeah.
I just think that was a little underdeveloped as a concept.
Yeah.
And the way that it is, it's just like flaccid. It's just like, why it's not developed enough to justify being in the movie, while there's this other element of Forrest Whitaker who's really great and I loved watching, and he's just in the movie far too little. It's like, why couldn't Forrest Whitaker just be on the adventure with them? Why do we need Diego Luna in this movie?
Yeah.
Could we get these points across without him?
I mean,
just kind of.
I think.
I don't know.
A part of it too is an overproduced perspective of they need some sort of love interest, which is you don't need it.
Yeah,
you don't need it.
Which is bullshit.
I want to build on that then, because I didn't feel like there was a love interest at all until the ending. It was like
it was
this
forced,
is awkward and out of nowhere.
It was so forced. Like, literally just sitting there like, oh my god, do not kiss. If you kiss, this is awful. Do not kiss. Please, God, don't kiss each other. And thankfully they didn't, but they did as well have. They did everything else.
I know.
But I want to add, though, I think...
Sorry, one more thing I want to add to that. Okay. Which that ending would have been way more... had more value at the end with them dying if it had been Forrest Whitaker. Because it's like, he raised her.
Yeah.
There's a more... Totally. There's actual context there for that being an emotional scene.
Yeah, and there's also a weird hiccup in the structure where it's like the death of two father figures in a row.
Yes.
Yeah.
See, that's
and it's
more
like, get
tragic.
one of those out of there and like have them have a moment at the end
where they die together. Way better than the romance. There's more emotion there because you've already built it. You already built that context.
Yeah, totally.
Anyway, so, that would have been a better ending. But
I want to throw onto this. I feel like it is kind of a stretch. But I think what could have made his character, like Diego Luna's, much better was if maybe he was like once part of Forrest Whitaker's army, but like they were too extreme, so like that's why he sided more with rebellion. That way he's kind of like straddling both paths. That way when then like Jin's introduced, it's like
that'd make him more interesting.
Yeah, I think that would have like added an extra layer to his character, and maybe could have solved some of these issues, because then like he could kind of be like that fill-in father figure where it's like
if you have to have Diego Luna,
that was like I worked with him, like I dealt with him, like I understand his philosophies, I agree, he's just a little too extreme, and like we all do dark things, because like I had to ask my fiance, because I watched it with her, because the beginning was so fast, I didn't realize that Diego Luna's character like murdered that dude. I didn't know it was the same character because it was so fast. But like they were trying to build like that, like he has to do what he has to do, but like over my head, because like it was just scene.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
that's where
it was
weird.
messy. That's where it started getting messy. It's
it just felt like it's like, oh, he's this guy, he's this dark character who like murders people, and it just feels very brushed over. And I do think Diego Luna's performance was good. I think he did good with what he had. Like, I like Diego Luna, but he just felt pretty unnecessary. Yeah. And then the ending just, like, I hate forced love interests.
Yeah.
And that was rough.
At least they didn't kiss, but
yeah,
there is a little bit of that. And now that we're in spoilers too, I can say this. It's been confirmed that originally they were supposed to live at the end. They changed the ending. Yeah. In the original ending, what we do know is that they survive. Felicity Jones and Diego Luna get off the planet. And you see in the trailers they actually get on the beach and are running towards the
like with the hard drive thing, right?
With the hard drive, and they escape. And then supposedly they survive, and it's actually built into Felicity Jones's contract. She has one more movie. Don't know.
Yeah, so like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, I don't know if
standalone movie. This is not a standalone movie.
It's a prequel to
it's not
semi-prequel movie.
Yeah. And it's like, you know what? It's not that big a deal if it's not. It's just like, why did you tell me it was for the past year? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just seemed like it was promising a lot of things that it didn't deliver on.
They just love to say that because it was an excuse to sound different, and also it doesn't directly involve Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
You know? And that's why they were able to call it that. And it's not an episode. But, I mean, it could have been.
It's episode 3.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Although, I want to say, though, I think his name's Chirrut Imwa. He was the blind Jedi-ish guy.
Force sensitive.
Which, I'm going to throw it out there. I think it's kind of funny because Star Wars has set up the precedent for people doing all this stuff. But you got a guy who's blind doing a lot of awesome kung fu. Gotta make him Asian.
Yeah, he was... Yeah.
But, I think he was one of the coolest characters they had in there.
He was a cool character.
I liked seeing, I feel like a very strong Force-sensitive character who is not necessarily, Force-trained. Because, he relied heavily on the Force, but, I don't think he necessarily passed as a Jedi. I don't know where that was.
Because there are no Jedi. There's no one to train them.
I know, but, he's an older character. He would have been a child when the Jedis were started. So, I don't know, maybe he was a kid and then, Anakin started murdering everybody and just, got left into the dust to, train himself from, a middle school-ish on, age group. But, he clearly understood the Force. He lived through the Force, but, couldn't control it. He never used Force powers.
Well, I think some of the backstory involving him, and this is me doing research and getting into very nerdy territory, is Donnie Yen's character and Wen Jiang, who plays Baze Malbus, the two pair of friends there. They're part of an order called the Guardians of the Wills, which actually comes from an original story concept that George Lucas wrote. Was going to be included in the original film and got later taken out, but is incorporated into some of the expanded universe novels and stuff. But anyway, basically, they are part of a religious order who worship the Force and are bound to guard Jeddah, basically the city of the Jedi, right? On this temple, and it's deteriorated since then. They're kind of like the samurai with no master, Ronins, who have no masters now, and they kind of just are there. They don't know what else to do. I would have liked to see more of that.
Yeah.
And there is that backstory there, but I don't know. That stuff that is depth that is there, we're not seeing it though.
And this gets into kind of something that I have been thinking about with the whole standalone what's to come thing, where it's this whole series of movies was spawned from samurai movies, essentially.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
It was inspired.
So
yep.
Let's make one that basically is that. It's can we have a Star Wars movie that's as small scale as some of Kurosawa's movies?
So you're trying to
some of them are gigantic scale.
Yeah.
And this is a very Seven Samurai-ish concept of band of people coming together and defending.
You could have totally have fed off that with you have the multiple characters. You have basically the magnificent seven of characters.
But can we have a Star Wars movie where the galaxy isn't in trouble? It's just them in trouble, or you know what I mean? Or a town, a small group of people. I don't know. I would like to see a smaller scale Star Wars movie that has big scale emotions but not big scale action.
I want to agree with that and add on to it because I understand it was a prequel to 4-ish, prequel I use in loose terms, but it was before 4. But it's annoying constantly having the Death Star as the looming threat. We need to move on with something that's just a planet killer.
I think we're done with it needs to be done with the Death Star forever now.
Yeah. And it's this is kind of okay because it was setting up for 4, but please move on. I don't ever want to see another Death Star unless
never again.
Unless we're still making Star Wars films 25 years from now. Cool, throw a Death Star in then. But right
we have
now,
episode 10, start of another trilogy with another Death Star.
Okay, well hang on. I was going to lead into it. I feel like The Force Awakens should be a quadruple G. Because episode 7 was so baggage for living up to the originals and making up for the prequels that it couldn't do anything too original. So I wish it was a jumping off point to their own trilogy.
Like a middle movie.
Yeah.
Force Awakens is the middle movie to
just,
set up a new trilogy, which is its own thing.
It's a reset to launch into the trilogy.
Yep.
And then you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because, I mean, we could sidetrack a little bit, talk about Force Awakens and say, that movie was different because it did have so much baggage and it had so much it had to do. It had to tell the fans that this is Star Wars now, and we are setting it in this direction, and we are back to what you guys love. And also, we need to set up a whole new storyline, new characters, while being nostalgic, while being its own thing. And there's just so much baggage on Force Awakens. And to its credit, ended up being a very entertaining and rewarding movie, and that is hard to accomplish. So I do like Force Awakens for all the effort that they've had to do.
Yeah, it's just
but it is a rehash.
It's a rehash, and like it's in the unfortunate situation of being the first of the new trilogy.
Yeah,
we're like now. Hopefully, Episode 8 can more do its own thing, especially because Rian Johnson's doing it. So like, hopefully that's good.
And I hope it's not just like. Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, exactly.
Terrible.
Yeah, that'd be bad. Like, I think that'd piss a lot of people off if it's just another rehash of the.
It would fucking suck. Cause
it'd be awful.
As much as I like Rogue One, little disappointed. Little disappointed before Force Awakens, just how much it was like A New Hope. It's like if it happens again, and then we gotta wait another year, and then it happens again. It's like, what's the future of this? When are these gonna start? I hope that I can go see one of these and just be like, it was great, and not be like, I liked it, have a lot of complaints, but it was good. You know what I mean?
And I think
I just want it to be good and just like not worry about it,
And I think what it needs to do is exactly what it's set up, right? It has set up new characters. Now it needs to be taken in a completely new direction.
Totally.
You have this opportunity now. You've set it up. You have the universe. We know everything's set. We're happy with where it is. Go in a new direction we've never seen. And if we just get like a movie that came out like Empire Strikes Back, where it came out as a sequel and it was its own thing and it took things and we didn't know where to expect it. If Episode 8 is the same and just does its own thing and it's just a good sequel to what it set up before while being unique, that's what we need, I think.
Totally.
No. It's an interesting time we live in, guys.
Yeah, I feel like
totally.
You'll never walk away from a Star Wars film for the most part being like, that was a great film, because I think that Star Wars at this point has so much expectations that you can never fully enjoy every aspect of it, because you'll start nitpicking those small things. Like I brought up, the weird, Hispanic officer when they only have British people, and then like a semaphore into restricted areas. Like those things I think will become more obvious because like, Star Wars. You expect all the stuff from Star Wars. It's Star Wars.
There's so much pressure because it is literally the biggest franchise of all time.
Yeah.
And I dare you to think of a bigger movie franchise than Star Wars. It's so ingrained in our culture and the way that we live as Americans and throughout the world.
Yeah.
It is so part of our consciousness that there's so much pressure there, and the best course of action is to really just try and be its own thing at this point.
Yeah,
I think the closest franchise to rival it is James Bond, but that's very heavily on one gender,
and I think
not widely accepted by everybody.
That is the longest running series, of course, and longest but everyone likes Star Wars.
Oh,
most people do, at least.
I mean, Star Wars is now lasting like 3 generations because it was our parents' generation.
Yeah, this is our 3rd generation now.
We were like that weird, awkward in-between where like the prequels were the first movies that came out that like we got to see in theater and they bombed. But we were so desperate for more Star Wars. But then like the TV shows launched, and I've heard good things about the TV shows. And so they've the generation under us to get them hooked into Star
with
Wars.
TV.
Yeah.
We also had the re-release though. Like I remember seeing the original re-releases in theaters.
Yeah,
That is true. I did remember seeing those.
We grew up on the originals.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But even then, past that, in multiple countries, so many people have put Jedi as a religion that it's like officially a recognized religion in those countries.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like I think Canada did it, Australia I think did it.
Yeah.
Like there's a couple. There's like so many people are like, no, I love this movie so much. Like I'm just gonna pretend Jedi is my religion, and they're like, wow, 5% of the population said they're Jedi, so that's a religion now.
Yeah.
And it's like you don't have that with anything else without being like weird and creepy. Like my school had a Quidditch team, and it's a bunch of kids just running with brooms between their legs. It's like it's sad and not the real thing.
Yeah.
I appreciate your attempt of effort, but like it looks stupid and it sounds annoying.
Yeah. There's just a couple more things I want to talk about because I just want to get your guys' opinions on it.
For sure.
The music. What'd you guys think of the music?
I thought while watching it that it was good, and then when it was over, I couldn't remember any of it. So
Yeah.
I think it was like well scored, but also not memorable.
Yeah, I didn't bring any new themes to the table, and it only teased with the original John Williams score.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
I would have liked to have seen like a more. I mean, I understand again the pressure of what this guy was probably under. First Star Wars movie,
especially because he's establishing the first of.
Yeah, but at least create one memorable theme for this unique film.
That's true.
Yeah, and
like
it doesn't.
A Jin theme that we could hear like over and over, and be like, wow,
Totally.
like, that's the theme of this song or this movie.
Yeah,
and you never really got that because like, I personally don't often like I will watch movies and I'll hear the soundtracks and they'll hype up the moment, but like I can never recall the soundtrack.
Yep.
Star Wars I think does stick out more for me just because like it's my favorite film series ever.
It's super iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
But like I feel like I heard some kind of like nods to some old themes, like the Millennium Falcon like TIE Fighter like battle scenes. Like I feel like you heard that in like a space fight. It was like, but there was nothing that stood out as original for this film that I recall.
Yeah.
Nothing that like don't want to speak for you guys, but nothing that we could like whistle right now. Melody that we could like pull up.
Oh, there's nothing really memorable other than what we know.
Yeah, which is like it's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, like the Imperial March we heard, but it was only teased. It was never like fully embraced. All the themes were kind of teased with, whereas sometimes it was only a few notes, which is fine.
I'm okay with that. It's just like you got to back that up with something of your own, instead of just like having weird in between nothingness. Of score.
Yeah. All right, going back to CG Tarkin. What does this kind of say for like the future of movies? Like, are we able to resurrect anyone we want to play now? Like, you want this famous actor to come back and play? What age do you want this actor to play in your movie? We can create this actor for you. He's dead now.
Which is funny. While I was talking about that movie, I watched The Congress, which is basically that. And I didn't realize until I was talking about it while we were recording that like how relevant it was based off Rogue One.
Yeah, I mean we're seeing it in other places too. Like we've seen it in some commercials, and there's like the Michael Jackson stuff on his concert where he was recreated, and it's been done with other famous people. But like this is, I feel like, a big step, and like it kind of concerns me a little bit of like so now we can just throw in anyone we want now.
So I want to throw in a fun kind of off-topic political comment, but like I feel like in America we're having issues with like losing jobs to like people coming from other countries, and from like losing jobs to going to computers like automation. And it's like now our actors have to worry about losing their jobs to dead people because we can CGI them in, and we don't need real people anymore. Forget you people trying to come up and do. Now we got like Harrison Ford had did every animation we need, so we're just going to use Harrison Ford because everybody likes him.
I think the one thing holding that back is the fact that it's not quite there yet. That it's fake. It looks
fake.
False. Like it doesn't look.
It looks fake.
Real yet.
Until you show me a shot of someone talking and I go, why did you show me that? And it's like, oh, they weren't real. Not convinced. You know? I just...
But the scary thing is we are pretty close, though.
Yeah.
I don't know, though.
Dude.
I feel like the actual... It's just all about the movement. The skin... The texture is there.
Yeah.
And, like, if you take a still of a Grand Moff Tarkin scene, maybe I'd look at it and go, whoa.
Right.
But the movement's just weird. It's just very off. And it's off-putting, at least to me. Like, I just don't understand how that happened in the movie at all. It's just like, man, everyone was cool with this? This is fucking weird.
Yeah, my fiance is more of a critical eye because she went to film school, and she pointed out to me that the issue with Grand Moff Tarkin was that his movements were, like, too smooth, that people don't actually move in that manner. So, like, his, like, mouth, like, was, like, too perfectly, like, smooth for its speaking, but, like, we aren't that smooth. So it became like...
Yeah, it's just not quite there.
Yeah.
It's not there yet.
Maybe
but it could be. One day, it could be.
In our
could
lifetime,
be, but like,
actors could be
do I want to?
Yeah.
Do I want to see that day? I don't know.
No.
You probably will.
I don't know. James Cameron's probably sitting some fucking studio shooting his Avatar movie on a computer.
Yeah.
Photorealistic, you know. Because I mean, in Avatar they did that, right? They're like, oh yeah, I can reshoot a scene in the editing bay. It
was a big deal for that. That was like one of the first.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And like, think about like where that'll be when Avatar. How many more of those fucking things are they making? Like four more. Movies. Yeah, when Avatar 5 comes out, like, what's that gonna look like? You know, that's crazy.
He's written, and they're currently shooting all of them.
Okay.
At the same time.
I was about to ask, like, when did the last Avatar come out? Like 3-4 years ago?
2009, I think.
Yeah, it was like I think we looked it up recently. It was 2009.
Wow.
Because I'm pretty sure it was that first holiday after we were at Full Sail, right?
Yeah. And I think it's really funny because it's obviously made the most money of any film, but also it's the least culturally relevant film of all time.
Oh yeah.
Like,
I've never
Star Wars we reference, but like the movie that's made the most money, we don't even like remember lines from it.
I don't remember. I don't know anyone who's like, yeah, Avatar's my favorite film, or like no one talks about Avatar ever.
No,
like ever.
It's not relevant.
Yeah.
It's not relevant.
When Avatar 2 comes out, I'm curious to see what people think. Because I don't know anyone who's going to be like, dude, you see the trailer for Avatar 2? Like, it looks amazing. Everyone's just going to be like, oh, yeah, it's coming out.
Yeah. I mean, and everyone will go see it.
That movie from 10 years ago? That's crazy. Like, by the time it actually comes out.
Yeah, I saw it like a year or so after it came out, and like I watched it, it's like, it's pretty.
Yeah.
But it's Pocahontas.
Yeah.
It's the story of Pocahontas with space people.
It's Pocahontas in space.
Totally.
All right. Well, any last thoughts on stuff? I know there's stuff we haven't talked about.
Yeah.
We're also running out of
liked
time.
As much as Ben Mendelsohn's character really didn't do much for me. I liked when he smirked when he was getting force choked. That was weirdly interesting.
I want to throw out there.
I didn't notice that. That's interesting.
Yeah, I feel like I picked up on a little satisfaction from that force choke, which I thought was interesting.
Although I want to throw out there, I love Darth Vader making some puns.
Oh,
Had
dude,
a pun. Just don't choke on your aspirations,
dude. That was a classic Darth Vader line. I loved that.
It was just, I don't know, like, it was corny, but like I think it was perfect. Like, I don't want to make it sound like a negative thing, but like it was corny, but sometimes corny is what you need.
That's what he would say, you know.
But Woody, he's not normally known to be like that cheesy of a character. He's like so like stoic and serious.
It may be a little too far, but he's also
it.
Like he'll say stuff like impressive, most impressive, you know. Like...
Also, real quick, while we're on Darth Vader, that was the planet they never listed. They never, when they showed his planet, they never once called it Mustafar.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Which then it's like, did Darth Vader build like a fortress on the place where his body's been burnt?
Also,
like, just look at that.
Probably not the most emotionally healthy spot to make your home.
No,
is the place where your body got destroyed.
It's like the
and
Fortress
your wife
of Solitude.
died.
If like that's where Superman was like abandoned as a child, like his dad just beat him and just like get away. And just like, I'm gonna make my fortress here. I like this place. It's good.
There is a rumor floating around that they didn't mention that because, which I don't know, but apparently they didn't mention that, maybe because they're trying to set it up possibly for a future location in episode 8 or 9.
I don't care. They should have labeled the planet. I'm saying that they labeled every planet.
This is the first Star Wars movie that had the lower thirds of the planets, right? I don't feel like I've
no,
seen
that's
that
never happened before. And honestly, I think it needed it because in this particular film,
it was globe. It
was like planet, and it's like, oh my god, you needed that.
Needed it, but
it was interesting.
Just be consistent.
How'd you guys feel about no opening crawl?
Yeah, it didn't need one.
I mean,
but
it felt weird, but also it's fine because it's trying to be its own thing.
But also at the same time,
it's not an episode.
Yeah, and I'm okay with it having no opening crawl, but if it's being its own thing, like, why did it need the Star Wars font outline of the stars of Rogue One? Like, could it just have its own type of Rogue One?
They probably are like, oh, we feel a little guilty. It had to have something.
You gotta keep the same font. I was a little like missing it for like nostalgia, but it didn't need it. Honestly, I liked it being there, but it wasn't necessary. Although one thing I also want to add on before we go is, I thought it was a cool effect for when they're in space. How like, unless it was like coming into frame, they didn't have lights on it because like there's no light in space. So I loved how you just like saw like stars, and it's like this like ship or the Death Star just like would reveal itself out of the shadows.
Totally,
and it's like, oh shit! Like
I love that shot of Saturn,
like the
ring.
Yeah,
where it's just cut off, and you're like, what the hell is this I'm looking at?
Yeah,
and then it like the ship moves, and then there's also the shot of the Death Star being revealed.
Right,
with the Star Destroyer flying. It's like that stuff was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. For me, it's like so now every standalone quotes Star Wars movie, is that what they're gonna do? A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, cold like scene, and then title card that's in the Star Wars font. Like, is that like, are they setting up that for future movies?
I don't know if that necessarily has to be the formula now. I mean, maybe a long ago in a galaxy far, far away, maybe that has to be the same. But I don't know if it necessarily has to have the same exact kind of title card.
I don't think you can change the font now. I think the font's too established.
It is iconic.
Which is like, for me, because I guess my main issue is just like, they said it was going to be this different thing, and it's not this different thing. And you can tell that the intention was there to make it this different thing, but then you can tell that after that, they were trying to make it as close to a Star Wars movie as they could.
I feel like, the original movie was not like what it is. And so they're like, it was too much of its own thing, maybe. And they're like, Disney probably came in and they're like, let's bring in a little bit of that, Star Wars stuff that we want, and tied it more into it.
Yeah. So for me, it's like, why do you have to spell Rogue One in the Star Wars font? Why don't you just have the Star Wars that shows up and like minimizes,
right?
And just have that, and then the rest of the movie it's just like, all right, this is Star Wars, this is Rogue One, not like long time ago, blah blah blah, Star Wars Rogue One. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's like, I don't know. It's not that big a deal,
right?
In the end, but it just seems like if that's the language or that's the style that they're setting forth with.
Yeah.
It just seems like
well, I mean, like the Rogue One title reveal almost felt forced. Like it was like, this is an edited movie, Yeah. We forced this in. This clip goes here. It felt out of place.
It felt out of place. And also, how out of place did it feel when Riz Ahmed, who actually I thought was really good in the movie and I liked a lot, but says Rogue One.
Odie.
The pilot guy?
Yeah. Played by Riz Ahmed.
Yeah.
Ooh, it was great. He was great in the movie.
He was great in the movie, but the Rogue One title, like, in the movie was one of those things that I, like, expect in like, a supercut of, like, titles being said in the movie when he's like, what ship are we? I don't know. And they're like, say something. He's like, Rogue One, It's like, obviously that was not anything like it
obviously
sounded,
it was probably forced, but there's a little part of me that kind of liked it.
Same. I think it maybe could have been presented better, but I enjoyed that scene.
I like the way he said it.
Fair enough.
Yeah, personally.
Because I mean, I feel like it's like one of those things where someone's like, "What's your code name?" And you're just like, "Shit, there's code names." Blue Falcon. And it's like
Rogue.
We don't use animal names.
And the way he says Rogue One sounds, memorable to me.
Mm.
But it's obviously like, haha, title.
Yeah, it was such like a moment of like, here's the title of the movie.
Yeah. And sometimes, most of the time that really bothers me in movies. And it's like for instance, I think they even say it in this movie, because it's the first thing that's coming to my head. But that movie with Will Smith, Collateral Beauty, I think they even say it in the trailer.
Oh, Jesus.
They're like,
yeah.
And the whole thing's just like a collateral beauty. It's like, come on, who would say that? Who would say that?
Not one human would say that. That movie looks like a big pile of stink. We should review that because it'd just be fun to fucking rip apart.
Do you want to like watch it and just review that? Because it'd be really fun to rip apart, I'm sure.
Just morbidly watch it, just like, yeah, fuck you, this is shit.
Building off that, though, I do feel like because that wasn't a scene in the trailer, that it made it better. Because if it had been in the trailer when that scene came, it would have been extremely
Rogue One?
corny. Yeah, like
it's in the trailer.
Is it?
It's in the trailer.
I don't watch many trailers apparently, so
it's in a trailer.
That's shitty. I'm just gonna say it.
In one of the trailers, he's like, "Yeah, Rogue One. It's cut faster, and
that's all I'm gonna say."
Yeah,
I could have done with a different take of that. I also something I think all hinted at in the non-spoiler section, but never brought up, that C-3PO R2-D2 cameo. For me, cut that shit out of the movie. I don't need that at all.
I don't know, man. I that's one of the Easter eggs I don't mind because it's like you gotta have them in there. Every movie has them in it.
But why not have them at the end when it actually makes sense to have them in it?
But it does. It does. It makes sense that they would be there.
I mean, it makes sense.
It makes sense that they would be
forced for me.
It was a little forced.
They could have done it better.
It kind of feeds into like my whole opinion of Rogue One in a sense of like, oh, this is a standalone movie. Show it to anyone who hasn't seen the other Star Wars movies, and they'd be like, "What the fuck is this?"
Yes. But everyone knows those characters, right? No one knows the characters that like on Jeddah you run into, and we know, but it's like, watch where you're going. That part, where they're in the cantina. Those characters.
Oh yeah, that was.
I did like that.
I don't know.
I liked it, but that's a forced Easter egg that I think too many of those is like too much.
I mean, I think too many is too much, but I think that one wasn't bad because like you didn't, because like a lot of these Easter eggs, you didn't have to get it, but then like if you'd watch that and then watch episode 4, you'd be like, hey, these guys, what you doing? But like the R2-D2 and C-3PO, I think could have been done better because it was a very blatant like, hey, look at these guys that you know and love. Where they feel like you have to kind of also make the film for people who have never seen Star Wars before. Because, like, I know there was books, but we started the film series on episode 4. So, like, I feel like if you jumped into episode 7, like, it bothered me because I thought there was too many of those cameo things where they're just like, we're going to linger on R2-D2 for a moment. And it's like, you didn't need those. Like, you should make this for someone who has never seen Star Wars before and can still enjoy it. And there's, like, those teaser Easter eggs for the people who do get it.
And the thing is, it's like, I wouldn't be as adamant about it if they didn't say, this is a stand-alone Star Wars movie. This movie stands alone. It's its own thing. It's
what they meant by that was that it's not an episode.
But but it's basically an episode. Yeah. It's an episode. It just doesn't have a number because it's in between. Like, for me, at least. I don't know. It's just like if you watch it as its own movie without the context of the other movies, it's just like, okay, Darth Vader.
Well, you need the other context, right? I mean, that's the kind of annoying thing is that someone who walks in and this is the first Star Wars movie they've ever seen, which surely it is for some people, they're gonna walk out going, "What the fuck did I just watch?"
Yeah. What the fuck was that? What were they talking about with the Force?
That was fun,
What's
but like,
that?
What is the
Who's
Force?
the guy in black? Like, what was with those two robots?
That's Darth Vader because I know that's Darth Vader because he's in context. I mean, I'm a human being, so I know who he is. But why?
Yeah.
So that leads into last topic of discussion.
Yeah.
What'd you think of the last Darth Vader scene? What do you think of Darth Vader in general, his scenes?
I thought the first scene was like... The first scene felt like fan service. I think, honestly, all of it kind of felt like fan service. But the second scene was a lot more fun, so like I enjoyed watching it.
Second scene as in which one?
The end. Is he in more than 2? I thought he's only in like 2 sequences,
2 or
right?
3. 2 or 3.
I can't... If there's a middle one, I can't remember.
But you're referring to the end.
Yeah.
Where he pulls out the lightsaber.
Like, it's definitely cool. But at the same time, nothing like that is really in the earlier movies. It kind of felt like a Yoda Attack of the Clones thing.
Fair enough.
But at the same time, I thought it was better executed than that.
I mean...
And,
it's
cool. So like I get it. I get why people love it, and like
it's pretty cool.
Fun.
It's pretty cool.
It's fun. He's doing cool Force tricks and like killing all these people. Yeah.
I mean, it's purely there for fan service. It really is. But as a fan, it was cool to see.
I liked the time of like the guy running away with the disc and like passing it through the door and like
it was kind of scary actually.
Yeah,
you know? It's
cool.
Like he's terrifying.
Cool.
Yeah. I actually will argue that that's the best Vader scene.
Oh, it's fantastic. Like I know Vader was kind of there for fan service, but I actually very much loved all the scenes, and I think middle scene is him choking Kirk and making this pun.
Yeah.
Wait, wasn't that the first time you see him in the movie though?
Was it? I don't remember
when the door opens
because he has the back-to-back going on.
Yeah. But I thought it was cool because like, he showed him like I feel like the back-to-back shows like he's constantly in pain, so he's doing his best just to survive at this point, and like you kind of got like some of that like he's just like but then he like seemed like still had that stoic like badass character, and then at the end of it when he's like ripping apart the people in that the bigger ship before the smaller ship launches, it's like I feel like they didn't overdo the Force powers. But they showed the Force powers that you always wanted to see in the originals, but they didn't have the budget to do or didn't know how to accomplish properly. And so you got to see him like just like reflecting things and like doing
like lifting that guy to the ceiling and then cutting him down with the lightsaber.
Multiple powers at once was awesome. He just like holds a guy in the ceiling, just like still reflecting, and then just like I think stabs the guy and then like drops him and then starts like pushing people away or something.
He's just a complete badass.
It was a great ending scene to like show the intimidating figure that is Darth Vader.
It's like, yeah, he's fucking terrifying. And it's cool to see him fighting those rebels that you see in the very first movie, and that's in that ship when they get captured again. Those guys with the helmets and everything. It was cool. But it's very much fan service, though. I mean, which I don't...
And also, I feel like while it was very cool and like very well choreographed, it's like, does he not have the power to just kill them all like instantly?
No. It's not a Force power.
It seems like not instantly, but like...
So you just like mass force choke everybody? Just like...
Just like force push everyone. I don't know.
But they just...
Seems like there could have... I don't know.
Well, a lot of it is him like deflecting like shots, like laser shots.
Yeah. So
he's like focusing on that and also like one hand, like one guy at a time, like trying to get rid of this guy and just like also deflect. He's like focusing on a ton of shit at the same time.
Yeah.
There's like 10 guys shooting at him. He's deflecting all the shots, and then one guy he lifts up, cuts him down with his lightsaber, and then another guy he keeps going and like chokes him, and then like throws him against the wall and like keeps going.
So I feel like an important topic we haven't touched yet was how do you feel like this leads into Episode 4? Do you think it's like a great addition to the originals?
I think it's cool, and I said it earlier. I think it enhances A New Hope for me. Like going back to watch A New Hope, it's like this has more context and it has more weight because it's like, we know that these guys like did so much to get these damn Death Star plans to these guys. And it's a cool addition. It's a cool like if you want to watch a 2 film like a double feature, it's a cool double feature. Okay, I think it adds to the canon.
I haven't watched A New Hope again yet. But I do like the tie-in that it like leads up right to it. I think that's cool. It as it stands as being connected.
Right.
You know? As I've said before, I think it would be better if it was farther, Yeah. But the way it is, I do think it's cool. But I just don't know how sitting and watching them back to back, how it would play just based on like the technology and the design, like how it like melds. You know what I mean?
I felt like it was connected. It just was a different stylistic choice. But also, it has to be connected a little bit because the whole plot of the movie is finding the Death Star plan. So I'm just realizing this now. It's like, yeah, it's a standalone movie, but inherently it had to be connected because the whole plot of the movie is them finding the Death Star plans, which literally is the reason the rest of the saga exists.
I didn't realize this until like we were having this discussion though, but for the tie-in,
it has to tie in.
I think that one of the greatest things that this movie does to enhance Episode 4 is it shows the dire situation that the rebellion is in. Like when you get into Episode 4, it's like, yeah, we're like the ragtag bunch, but like we clearly just blow it up. But like, I feel like this like shows like the rebellion's disorganized. They can't all agree on one thing. They don't even agree to attacking this place, and like they risked. So, like, that entire fleet dies. They risked an entire fleet and lost a whole army to get this one piece of information that is the saving piece of Episode 4. And so I feel like it helps to enhance, like, the dire situation that the rebellion is in.
Yeah.
And how much it means to have a victory.
And I like that.
I think it's just okay.
And I like that.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. There's... I could keep going for on and on, but we probably should wrap it up. I really could keep going, and there's a lot more I want to talk about, but let's wrap it up. Talk about final thoughts. What are your final conclusive thoughts, and what would you rate this movie out of 5 stars?
Bojo.
Okay, I'll go first. Honestly, I think I'd only give like a 3.5. It's a fun film. I think it has too much baggage from being Star Wars, so like you want it to live up to the New Hope, and it's like I don't think it needs to. It was a fun action-adventure film. It did the thing. It had some messy parts. There were some weird continuity errors that I didn't like, but I mean, none of that really affected the story for like the minor issues that I had, but for the most part, it was a fun action-adventure film set in the Star Wars universe. I enjoyed it because I like action-adventure films. It did the thing.
Zach?
Yeah, I think it was good. It had a lot of cool stylistic choices, but for me, it was it had more baggage than I thought, and it was kind of tied down to the previous stories more than I would have liked. I thought the characters were a little thin, but what was there was a really entertaining action movie. And the set pieces were done really well, and you can see the care that went into all the production, like, in the movie. Like, you can see all the production design and the character design and, like, the costumes, and there's a lot of care there. And I left the movie thinking it was a 4. I might have soured on it a little bit, so I am going to give it a 3.5. But maybe on the rewatch, it'll be a 4. Yeah. I also think that my viewing was hindered by the 3D. I wish I didn't see it in 3D.
It seems like it was hindered.
Yeah.
I agree with both of you guys. I also want to give it a 3.5. At the end, like you guys have said, it's a fun action-adventure movie. I believe that it enhances, for me, the A New Hope. But it became its own thing in a sense that it has a completely new look and style that we've never seen before, while also being completely ingrained in the universe that we know. And I think that is awesome. In that sense, we got the style of something different by being in the same universe. And it inherently had to be somewhat involved with the original series because of the general plot. Like, the general plot literally has to be tied in. So hopefully we'll see more movies. The only way to completely separate them and become standalone movies is by having them have its own plot. It has to create a brand new plot. But this one was the first step. I'll accept that. And as a fan, I very much enjoyed it. And again, it looked great. There was much love in the production. It was messy in the characters, the plot. But yeah, overall, I enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see it again. So, yeah.
Yeah.
That's it. This is history in the making. It's kind of crazy.
Yep. Love it, though.
Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah.
Excited for episode 8. Hopefully it's good. Hopefully it's not boo-poo. Yeah. Ryan Johnson.
I'm very excited for episode 8. I hope that... I want to see Rey get trained, and I want to see Luke fucking redeem himself and not be a pansy and be awesome. That's what I want.
I want to see a dark side Jedi scene. Well, Sith scene, I guess. Like, training montage.
Be interesting.
Because, like, they talked about Kylo Ren needing to be trained further. So I want, like, a Dagobah Luke-esque scene, but with Kylo Ren as, like, a dark side mentality.
Now he's got a scar across his face, so
yeah,
we'll see how that goes.
Even more Star Wars.
That's right. All right, so in conclusion, we all kind of agree on the movie. Thanks for listening to us. If you made it this far, we talked a lot, and I could keep talking for several more hours. There's so much more.
I could too.
But
I've also gotten a little tipsy over the course of this podcast.
I think we all have.
Yeah.
But you can find more of our episodes on iTunes, Google Play, Podomatic, YouTube. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Twitter at LTURAM podcast, and you can always email us at listentousrantaboutmovies@gmail.com. Bojo, thanks so much for joining us. It was great having you on the show again.
Absolutely. I know I'm not great with films, but I like to give my perspective.
No, you had great perspective.
I'm a huge nerd, so that's where I draw my inspiration.
I loved having good Star Wars talk with you.
Totally.
And Zach, as always, great talking to you, man.
Good talking to you.
And for everyone, have a Merry Christmas. This will be coming out just before that, so
yeah,
enjoy and
Merry Christmas.
What's that?
I just said Merry Christmas.
Oh, more Christmas.
I guess, and happy holidays for the rest.
And happy holidays.
Yes, happy holidays.
And happy New Year.
No, you know what? No Happy New Year.
Yeah, fuck you guys.
Happy holidays, no Happy New Year.
One or the other. You can't have both.
And
what am I gonna wish you all of the? Come on.
Yeah, come on.
Happy holidays and Happy New Year. Get over yourself.
Yeah, you choose one or the other. You know.
It's still a holiday. It counts.
We might try and squeeze in one more review before the end of the new year. And of course, early next year, we're going to have to talk about our favorite films of 2016, top 10.
Oh, top 10, yeah.
Start gathering that list. But in the meantime, until next time, Zach.
See
you guys later.
Peace.